the summer of 1947, and in the vast star-dusted desert of New Mexico, something crashes under the cover of night, a mystery that ignites a firestorm of intrigue that burns to this day. On a remote ranch near Roswell, a rancher named Mac Brazel stumbles across strange debris, metallic fragments that shimmer like nothing earthly, beams etched with cryptic symbols, and materials that defy explanation. The whispers start small, but they grow into a roar. Has an alien spacecraft plummeted to Earth? Or is this a government cover-up cloaked in Cold War shadows? The Roswell incident, as it's come to be known, isn't just a footnote in history. It's a riddle that has gripped imaginations, fueled conspiracies, and left us staring at the skies, wondering if we're truly alone. Buckle up, because we're diving into the heart of one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century, a tale of secrets, saucers, and suspicion that refuses to die. Roswell, New Mexico in 1947 was a sleepy outpost, a speck on the map surrounded by endless scrubland and military bases. World War II had ended just 2 years prior, and the Cold War was tightening its grip. Nearby, the Roswell Army Airfield housed the 509th Bomb Group, the elite unit that had dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. The skies buzzed with experimental aircraft, and the nation's nerves were frayed by the specter of Soviet spies and unknown threats. Into this tense backdrop, on the night of July 2nd, a violent thunderstorm tore through Corona, 75 miles northwest of Roswell. Mac Brazel, a weathered rancher tending sheep on the Foster Ranch, heard an explosion louder than thunder, a crash that shook the earth. The next morning, he rode out to check his flock and found something bizarre. Scattered across the desert were pieces of strange metal, some light as balsa but strong as steel, others glinting with an otherworldly sheen. There were beams with hieroglyph-like markings, and a foil-like material that, when crumpled, sprang back to its original shape. Puzzled, Brazel gathered some of the debris and tucked it away, unsure what to make of it. Days later, on July 6th, Brazel drove into Roswell to sell wool and mentioned the find to Sheriff George Wilcox. The sheriff, sensing something unusual, alerted the Roswell Army Airfield. Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer with a sharp mind and a wartime pedigree, was dispatched with a team to investigate. What they found stunned them, a debris field stretching nearly a mile, littered with fragments that didn't match any known aircraft. Marcel, no stranger to military tech, was baffled. The material was unlike anything he'd seen, lightweight, unyielding, and inscribed with symbols that hinted at a language not of this world. He loaded the debris into a B-29 bomber and sent it to Wright Field in Ohio for analysis, while word of the discovery leaked like wildfire. On July 8th, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a bombshell press release, authorized by Base Commander Colonel William Blanchard. They had recovered a flying disc. The Roswell Daily Record splashed the headline across its front page. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. The nation buzzed with excitement. Had aliens finally landed? The story exploded, but the military moved fast to douse the flames. Within hours, higher-ups at Fort Worth Army Airfield, where some debris was flown, issued a retraction. General Roger Ramey held a press conference flanked by a sheepish Major Marcel, who posed with pieces of a weather balloon. The official line, "The flying disc was just a misidentified weather balloon from Project Mogul, a top-secret program to monitor Soviet nuclear tests using high-altitude balloons equipped with sensors." The debris, they claimed, was tinfoil, rubber, and wooden sticks. Nothing extraordinary. Reporters, eager to move on, bought the story. The public, still reeling from post-war paranoia, largely accepted it. By July 9th, the incident was buried, the headlines faded, and Roswell slipped back into obscurity. But the desert held its secrets, and the truth, whatever it was, refused to stay buried. For 3 decades, the Roswell incident slumbered, a curious anecdote in a quiet town. Then, in the late 1970s, it roared back to life. Jesse Marcel, now retired, broke his silence, claiming the debris he handled was not from a balloon. He described materials with unearthly properties, metal that couldn't be dented, beams with strange symbols, and insisted the military had forced him to pose with balloon wreckage to sell the cover-up. His story, published in a 1978 National Enquirer article, lit a spark. UFO researchers like Stanton Friedman descended on Roswell, tracking down witnesses. They found a trove of voices, ranchers, soldiers, even morticians, each with fragments of a chilling tale. One witness, a nurse named Glenn Dennis, claimed he was called to the base hospital the night of the crash, where he glimpsed small gray bodies with oversized heads and black, almond-shaped eyes. He said military police threatened him to stay silent. Another witness, a soldier's widow, recalled her husband confessing he'd guarded a hangar containing alien bodies before they were whisked away to Area 51, a secretive Nevada base that would later become synonymous with UFO lore. The accounts piled up, each more tantalizing than the last. A local undertaker swore he'd supplied child-sized coffins to the base. A pilot claimed he'd flown crates of debris, and possibly bodies, to right field under strict orders. A rancher's daughter described finding memory metal that unfolded itself like magic. These stories, woven together, painted a picture of a crashed extraterrestrial craft, recovered by a military desperate to keep it hidden. By the 1980s, books like The Roswell Incident by Charles Berlitz and William Moore turned the tale into a cultural phenomenon. Roswell became the epicenter of UFO mania, a pilgrimage site for truth-seekers and skeptics alike. The town leaned into its fame, erecting a UFO museum and hosting annual festivals, complete with alien parades and tinfoil hat contests. But beneath the kitsch, questions lingered. What really crashed that night? The government stuck to its story, doubling down in 1994 with a report admitting Project Mogul's role. The balloons, they said, carried classified equipment to spy on Soviet nukes, explaining the secrecy. The alien bodies? Just anthropomorphic dummies used in later parachute tests, misremembered by witnesses decades later. Skeptics nodded, pointing to the lack of physical evidence. No wreckage, no bodies, no smoking gun. Memory, they argued, is fickle. People conflate events, especially under the spell of UFO fever. The hieroglyphs, likely just tape patterns from the balloon sensors. The cover-up? Standard military protocol to protect a classified project during a tense Cold War. Yet believers scoffed. Why, they asked, would a simple balloon crash spark such a frantic response? Armed escorts, sealed hangars, threats to civilians. Why did witnesses, many with no reason to lie, describe materials and beings that defied earthly logic? The Roswell incident thrives on this tension, the clash between official denial and whispered testimony. For every skeptic's explanation, there's a counterclaim that deepens the mystery. Declassified documents show the military was indeed testing strange tech in the desert. Balloons, yes, but also experimental aircraft like the V-2 rocket. Could one have crashed, mistaken for something alien? Or was the government hiding a truth too big to reveal? The Cold War bred secrecy. Area 51, born in the 1950s, was a black box for projects like the U-2 spy plane. Roswell, some argue, was a convenient distraction, a story allowed to fester to keep eyes off real military secrets. Yet the persistence of eyewitness accounts, over 600 by the 1990s, keeps the alien narrative alive. People like Walter Haut, the press officer who issued the flying disc release, swore until his death that he'd seen something extraordinary. His affidavit, unsealed posthumously, described a craft and bodies recovered under tight security. Theories swirl like desert dust. Some say the crash was extraterrestrial, a scout ship from Zeta Reticuli perhaps, probing Earth's defenses. Others propose a terrestrial but exotic explanation, a Nazi-derived craft from secret U.S. experiments, or a Soviet provocation to test American response. The most skeptical see it as mass hysteria, a perfect storm of post-war anxiety and sci-fi obsession. Roswell's timing is uncanny. Weeks after Kenneth Arnold's flying saucer sighting in Washington state coined the term, and amidst a wave of UFO reports as humanity grappled with the atomic age and the cosmos beyond. Whatever the truth, Roswell transformed how we see the skies. It birthed the UFO era, inspiring films, books, and a global fascination with extraterrestrial life. It gave us Area 51, the X-Files, and 1,000 backyard stargazers scanning for lights that move too fast. Today, Roswell is both a shrine and a circus. The International UFO Museum draws thousands, its exhibits blending grainy photos, sworn affidavits, and plaster alien models. The town's gift shops hawk glow-in-the-dark saucers and I believe mugs. But beneath the kitsch lies a deeper question. What do we choose to believe when evidence is scarce and stakes are cosmic? The government's balloon story holds up under scrutiny. Yet the whispers of witnesses, ordinary people thrust into an extraordinary moment, carry a weight that logic can't dismiss. Roswell isn't just a place, it's a mirror, reflecting our hopes and fears about what lies beyond. Did aliens crash in that desert, or did we conjure them from our collective imagination? The truth is out there, buried in the sands of 1947, and it's still calling us to look up. That's the story of the Roswell Incident, a mystery that refuses to fade. If this tale of saucers and secrets lit a spark in you, hit that like button to keep the mystery alive. Subscribe for more dives into history's wildest enigmas, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next cosmic twist. What's your take on Roswell? Alien crash or earthly cover-up? Drop it in the comments, we read everyone. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your mind open to the unknown.